Hi there! Today I'm back to talk all about the feminine wound with other feminine beings, and in this video I'm just going to talk a little bit about my wounds with the mother and my previous female friends, and also how to overcome that, because truly I believe that there is the wound with the masculine, but there's also the wound with the feminine that, to be honest, hurts so deep. By the way, I am wearing a dress. It's just shoulderless, so it looks like I'm not wearing anything, but I am. So anyway, let's get right into this video. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about my mother and also mention one of my previous friends who might also be watching this video. So my deal with my mother is that she has always been a very hardworking mother. I'm in no way saying that she's a bad person, but all I wanted to mention is my mother has always been a very go-getter. She is, I wouldn't say she's close-minded or rigid-minded, but at the same time she's not the most open-minded person you can meet. Some of the things she says sometimes can really cut deep. And also, when I was little, I had this impression of her of being not a very reliable person, because she was often so busy with her work trying to sustain a living, because my dad is more of a passive worker. He just works on the stock market and all of that, and he doesn't wake up till late and he lies at home all day. But my mom is more of a physical worker, so she goes around the city all the time just working and working. If not, she's sitting in her office on her computer for the whole day. And even when I was a little kid, she barely came home to play with me, only on the weekend, for example, maybe for a day on Sunday. But I really crave that attention and love and nurture from my mother, but I rarely got it on an everyday basis. And I would make her promise me these things, right? I would tell her, I would ask her, can you bring me to buy ice cream tonight? Or can you come home earlier to watch a movie with me tonight? I want to eat dinner with you. But I wouldn't get that as a child. And I remember saying this to one of the aunties who helped to take care of me as a kid. And I said to her, why does my mom always lie? Coming from a child, that sentence was a big disillusioning moment, because, parents to a kids is all they've got. So that is one of the wound that I had with my mother, and I also had lots and lots of other wounds, but also lots and lots of other great things that I did learn from her. And another example is from one of my previous best friends during my phase with eating disorder, anorexia. She was she was quite into fitness. We were only like 15 years old, but she was quite into fitness. She worked out regularly and all of that, but I didn't. I just got into secondary school, which is like middle school, and I had quit tennis because I didn't have time for that. I had a lot to do for classes, so I was getting a little chubby, all that. It's like a little bit skinny fat, that kind of thing. And I didn't feel much about my body. Like, I didn't feel like I had to change it. I didn't really pay attention to it, to be honest. But she did comment on my body when we were very, very close. She was almost like my sister, and she did comment on my body and tell me that I need to work out, not just once, but like quite a couple of times, subtly and directly. And that hurt me, and that prompted me into this very rigorous workout routine. And of course, she was not the only cause of my anorexia, definitely not, and not even like the main cause. It was a lot of other things, but like it did contribute to my downfall, you could say. And from then on, I've healed that wound, but from then on I have always had something to do with looking at having to look a certain way or come off a certain way to my friends, you know. She would also used to, like, she also complimented me a lot back then when I was a friend. She would say that I'm a very reliable friend. Whenever she's around me, she feel protected and she feel like I have things, like I get things done for her. And I, all the compliments and all the things that also hurt me, those combined kind of made me feel like I have to come off as in a way to my friends. I have this identity that I have to put up. I have this facade that I have to put on when I am around my friends in order to be valuable, in order to be, to be wanted, to be desirable. And that was honestly a wound that I had and is having to overcome with other feminine beings, no matter if it comes to my mother or my friends or other dominantly feminine people I know in my life, or the role in my life is majorly feminine. And by the way, I'm not necessarily referring to the gender, I'm just referring to the energy. So it's interchangeable, whatever, it's just a label. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to heal these wounds, and I was just hoping that these stories will resonate with some of you guys and let you know that you're not alone in this. That yes, we have female and male, whatever gender, people have wounds with people that that they are attracted to, not necessarily the opposite sex, but that they are attracted to. In my case, I have a lot of wounds. I had a lot of wounds with the masculine, but I had to overcome that. And yes, I thought, that was all I had to do. But to be honest, for the past year, I have been battling or sitting down with a lot of my wounds surrounding the other feminine beings in my life that I expected them to be a certain way or make me feel a certain way. And it didn't happen. And it devastated me a lot. And it was a suppressed emotion for quite a while because I felt like, no one really talks about this. They always talk about love. They always talk about romantic love. And I see very seldomly people having trouble with platonic love or familial love. And so I want to just give you a little bit of a guidance of what I figured out to help myself better, cope with this and kind of push myself a little bit, little by little, or encourage myself more, not really pushing, but encouraging myself to heal from these delicate wounds. So first, I want to talk about empathy. I want to, first of all, before you start any sort of healing, it's so important to extend your empathy to the other person, to understand that no matter what is happening, it's not like the other person wants you dead. It's not like the other person, is an evil, completely evil, malevolent being. It's not like that. However, bad they may seem or they may come off as. Try to extend your empathy and know that there's so much about other people that we don't see and we don't know. Especially if you don't even live with them most of the days. You're not even with them for, let's say, even 8 hours a day. How are you going to know what they're dealing with in their life? So it's essentially just extending the empathy and giving ourselves a room to forgive and understand and accept that this is happening, and try not to blame or over blame it on the other person. Yes, there is responsibility exists, but at the same time, we have to open up our heart. That is our most powerful tool we have, empathy as a human, and opening up our hearts to allow healing to take place before we do anything else, to really reinforce that healing. And then after that, I would also like to mention that we should learn to be gentle with ourselves and also the other person, and truthful, and try to communicate if this is possible in the given situation. Of course, it's not possible for everyone. Some people might not be talking to the person who has inflicted these wounds on them. or, you know, I don't know, because of all sorts of reasons, you just might not be able to communicate with them, or they're not in the place for communication, and that's where where the issue calls for even more empathy. But essentially, the idea of try to communicate, there are two ways to put this, to be honest. One, it's to allow room, create a space, and allow the opportunity to really try to understand this person, because sometimes empathy is an easy word to say, but it might not be easily achieved, because, you know, yes, we don't know what the person's going through and all of that, but we have this inner rage inside of us that really, really just empathizes with ourselves and feel this victim in ourselves. And there's nothing to be ashamed of it. I know so many people talk about to not victimize yourself and all of that, and yes, that's so true. Remind yourself you're not the victim of what is happening in your life, but at the same time, the other person can actually assist you in this on communicating. If you reach out and just ask them, you know, or not ask, or even just discuss about what happened and say that I didn't feel good about that, okay? And even if they lash out at you, even if they didn't refuse to communicate, it is also technically an answer, because, you know, it just goes to show that this person is very closed off. This person is, you know, let's say this person is very closed off. This person is, she just doesn't know how to deal with things other than with rage. Then, you know, then that's it. That there goes your answer. Or maybe this person was gonna tell you that, oh, I'm sorry, I have been dealing with this one thing, it's always been on my mind, and I just cannot do anything correctly. Maybe they have their own wounds that they're dealing with, and maybe you actually come into union with the healing. Miracles happen in these communication and opening up your heart space and reaching out to the other person and trying to collaborate instead of separate. And then my third advice is a reminder that however people act and their thoughts are really a projection, not necessarily thought, but act are really a projection of who they are in the inside, of all of their beliefs and wounds. So if a person is acting or is provoking you in a way, doing something that you deeply feel is not the kindest, or is not, your sense of right, or is not respectful to you or to anything else that and you disagree with, then it is necessarily a projection of their own belief and wounds, and it may just be a hint or a telling that this person doesn't align with your beliefs or wounds. And of course, as well, your response to their behavior and your reaction is also a projection of your own belief and wounds. How are you going to react to this person doing that something to you? Do you lash out? Do you get angry? Do you fight them? Do you slap them? Or do you sit down or, just accept that this is going on? Or do you let your emotions flow through? There's no right answer to this. I'm not saying that if you get super angry and lash out the other person, it necessarily means that you're a bad person and uncontrollable of your emotions and all of that. No, it's not. It's really not. It really depends on the situation, to be honest. But yeah, so really pay attention to that and remind yourself that, it's their projection of their own beliefs and wounds. And sometimes it really takes that reminder to cool ourselves down, to allow ourselves to come up with the next, set of actions on what we should do. So the last advice, the last thing I want to talk about is to simply be gentle with yourself. The spiritual community talk a lot about, mothering yourself, being your own best friend, yada yada. I say that a lot as well. It's absolutely important and absolutely crucial to be that. But at the same time, I want you to remember that, especially if you identify mostly with a feminine being, or even if you don't, to be honest, because the energy lies within all of us, collaboration and the ability to empathize and love and extend your understanding to other people is our power. We can create worlds with that. Yes, we can create worlds on our own as well, we can feed ourselves. You know, we can become so self-sufficient and create, you know, so many things. You know, start a channel, start a business, and grow and all of that. But as humans, we're here to experience and enjoy and pleasure and enjoy life, enjoy the pleasure that it has. And we have to remember that we shouldn't let our wounds and fears take that away from us. When it does, we become disconnected to a part of ourselves where it's actually truly yearning for some sort of deep connection with someone. Yearning for you to take the action to heal yourself. To heal yourself and heal yourself from the wounds, and just let go of the identifying with your past wounds, and really throw yourself into the unknown to know people who actually deserve you. To, you know, of course, have the boundaries, but also open up your heart to know people who deserve you, and know that not everyone is going to be the same in your life. And if it's repeating, it simply means that the universe is telling you this is a lesson to learn. No, this is a lesson to learn. And this reminder might be hard to, you know, remember sometimes, because sometimes we might just go like, I don't know, like sometimes it's hard for me as well. I feel like there's no one else out there for me, you know. There are no other friends there are just no other people. Like every person that I think about in my life, I just cannot get as close to them as I had with this previous best friend. I don't know who to, you know, befriend. I don't know where to find friends. Where am I going to find friends? Do I just go out in the streets and yell, who wants to be my friend? You know, all of these crazy thoughts come up, and it's fine. It totally makes sense. It's not like they're, you know, useless or anything. It's just a part of you that, you know, tells you all of these funny things, and it's completely fine. But when the time comes and when you see yourself relaxing a bit, truly surrender to the fact that the universe can truly bring you anything that you want as long as you ask for it, and heal those parts of you that don't believe in it. So this is the end of my video. I've been talking a lot and my throat kind of hurts. So I'm gonna go grab some water, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I like sitting down like this, and I'm starting a podcast talking all about these kind of topics, any sort of topics, you know me. So yeah. As for the release date, do check out my Instagram video at To Live Like You. And remember, you're worthy of all of the things that you want and have. I love you, and see you next time.